Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 526 at scavengerlife.com.
So, Ryan, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to answer it. So, Ryan.
Yes. Oh, I'm not allowed to answer, sorry.
No, I'll just start because I want you to think about it, because I've been thinking about it. So, are you happy with our life as it is? I'm going to tell you my answer.
I'm going to answer that. Okay.
Because I've been thinking about it. I have been realizing that I have been very happy with the way our life has been. And I think that's a good thing. And, growing up for me, I don't know. I feel like we never talked about that stuff, about being happy or being whatever. Mm-hmm. I feel like all the work we've done since we moved to this little town in 2008, I think has finally kind of started paying off in a way.
Yeah.
All the work we've done, everything we've kind of built up, it's like I finally feel like we can breathe some.
Yeah.
And we've been feeling that, and it feels really good, Now,
am I allowed to answer now? Well, yeah, I mean, I think that what you say is true. I mean, we have worked, since we met each other, honestly, like we've been working hard to build build things,
build a life.
Yeah, but like, it's not even just, build a life. You're like, what, we buy a house and like pay the bills. Like we've been working on way more than that. So like you said, it sort of comes to a point where you're like, oh, the businesses in quotes are running themselves. Not really, but you're kind of on like management level where you're like, managing people to do certain things so that you don't have to do day-to-day things and you get paid. That's the goal, right? And then you can like either reinvest your money, which is what we've been doing for years and years, is reinvesting the money. Or you get to buy stuff like air conditioning for your house, right? Which, and it seems so silly. I think we talked about it a few podcasts ago when we got air conditioning. We got these split units in our house and we were just like, I feel like my life has changed because our house is so comfortable now in like a really nasty, like summer, humid Virginia, humid, hot.
I feel like
muggy.
In the history of our lives is going to be our life before AC.
I know, seriously.
And now the life after AC.
Well, what's funny is, we kind of joke where we're like, oh, if you treat yourself all the time, it doesn't feel like a treat. Right. But not that you can't do good things, for yourself all the time. But like getting air conditioning in our house, our little like foreclosure that we renovated inch by inch, it feels like I feel like a rich person. Yep. I'm like, I feel like a millionaire because I walk in my house and I'm like, it's so nice in here, But, it's things like that. It seems so simple, but you're like, we worked so long to be able to like have extra money to pay for that. Yeah. Extra money that you're like, okay, well, all our bills are paid in the last few months and we stashed a bunch of money away and we really want this thing and we can actually get it. And I'm not like just eating tuna melts, which is what we used to do. Cereal and tuna melts. Yeah. I like tuna melts. Yeah. But
well, I think the other thing for me, the bigger, that is good to be able to afford the things that make life interesting and fun. But also it's just, I also feel like I don't feel trapped.
Yeah.
I think that is a thing I have been fighting against my whole life, about being in situations where you feel trapped. I talk about it with, working jobs or just even relationships or whatever, just that feeling of being trapped where like, if I don't do this thing, then this thing bad will happen.
Right.
And there is a difference between having responsibility for something versus being trapped, and each of us have to figure out what that is. Like, well, okay, so like for an example, our Airbnb business, it's the height of summer right now. Like everything's booked. Sometimes we're flipping houses every single day. It's like staggered.
So we have a responsibility to do all the laundry, schedule the cleaners, put the laundry out for them, give them any supplies they need. If their vacuum breaks, I need to give them another vacuum.
If there's a problem at a house, we got to go over
right.
there and do it.
So
right.
those are responsibilities, right? But I do not feel trapped.
Right.
Like, I feel like we have systems in place where, number one, if I couldn't do laundry, my cleaner knows how to do laundry. If I'm like, I'm unavailable this week, right. I'm going to pay you to do laundry. She's like, great, fine. That's an amazing freedom to have right there, where you're like, I don't feel trapped by this job, and if I can't do it for some reason, there's like a contingency in place. Right. That feels like freedom to me.
Did you ever feel trapped by eBay? No?
Not right now, because I mean, we haven't had a helper for so long. I did feel a little bit, not trapped, but like bogged down when our other helper left, because I had like 250 drafts that I was like, oh my God, I have to like get through this. And I actually just finished all of them. Yeah. And I'm doing the new ones now. So a little bit I did, but I also, so now we have a new helper. She's doing amazing. I hope I can keep her forever. I felt trapped when we didn't have flexibility with our handling time. We had same day, which was basically like after 9 a.m. It was like the next day.
Some of that is self-inflicted because
I know
you were very on top of wanting to ship fast. So
because we got a big discount, right. Like we got a 20% discount on our fees.
But it was good then that you made the choice of like, oh, I don't need, the fees we get money back on is not a big deal.
Well, they changed it too.
I want my time back. So
right, and then we talked to a bunch of people too on the forum, and all the people who we talked to online, just being like, yeah, I have 3-day handling, and my sales have not gone down, and people do not really care. 3-day handling is so awesome, right? Because I have freedom to be like, I'm super busy tomorrow, so I'm not going to pack till
ship for 2 days.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like a lot of stuff to ship. Like like a couple of days last week, I was like, oh my God, and like tons of delicate, like double packed, like teapots.
But when shipping's annoying, it means
you made money. So
and we will talk about that. But
so no, I don't.
I think the reason why I bring this up, and I'm really talking to you. Like, this isn't just for the podcast. I think it's
I'm really actually talking to you.
I think it's good we talk about this. I feel like this is the first time where we and I have gotten to a place where kind of we cleaned off our plate in a way. I mean, we have it's responsibilities that you talk about, but they're manageable and we like them. Sometimes it's good to have where people expect you and to do things good. I want to protect that. Like, I think that's what I want to happen from here on out, is to protect that feeling, and not have being trapped creep back in.
Right.
If we have any control over it all.
No, we do, but we do.
Crap can hit the fan and like it gets back to whatever. You just gotta survive. But I just really want to protect that because it just feels really nice right now.
Well, look, so our cleaner was on vacation for a week, and we actually didn't have any cleanings that week. It was perfect. But then the day she was coming back, 3 houses had to get cleaned. She wasn't back till the evening, and we were like, this is nuts, And so you and I cleaned 2 places, and we have another person help us with one of the other houses. It just like reminded me how exhausting that work is, and just that we're like you said, it had to get done, and we did it. We're cleaning 2 houses in a row. It's going to be exhausting,
right?
But I don't want to do that all the time. Like you said, we will do what needs to get done, but to protect the flexibility and the freedom of time is like our ultimate goal right now.
And I hear that around other scavengers who come and talk with us about this kind of stuff online. Just how they talk about how in the beginning it's one way of life where you're just like, it's all your time you're putting into it, and then you build up a system or whatever.
It's about systems.
And again, it's to me, it's why those online courses really don't ever work, because you can't everyone has to build their own way of doing things based on their own life, whether you have kids and where you live and
right.
the kind of things you're selling and all that stuff. So yeah, everyone has to figure that out, but then you get to a point where it just kind of runs and you can take a breath, and it's good to have that.
Well, to me, how it works is it's all you all the time, or all you and your partner, whoever, all the time in the beginning, because you have to figure out what you're doing. Yep. You have to figure out what needs to get done so you can teach other people what needs to get done. I mean, we cleaned our rentals for 1.5 years and finally we were so exhausted. We were like, we have to get somebody else, but we knew exactly how we wanted it to get cleaned and how the system worked. So that's valuable. You can't just be like, I don't know how it works, someone else do it.
And and we learn, like, whoever cleans a house should get paid very well, because
it's hard work.
It's not easy work. So.
It's not easy, and there's a particular way we want it done. So I'm gonna pay higher wages because I want it done well. Yep. And we know what it's like to be in a place that's not cleaned well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting perspective, where you're like, especially for self-employed, this does not have to do with people who like get paychecks at like an office job. But yeah, you have to figure out what it is, and then you build systems and you tweak those systems constantly. Like, I'm still tweaking systems for cleaning. Yeah. I'm still tweaking systems for eBay.
I don't think you're ever able to, like, just put it in concrete, put it in stone. No. And then it's done, one and done. I think it's always kind of, you're tweaking as things change. And so.
But it's not like so much work tweaking systems that it takes over every day, all day. You're kind of like, oh, the vacuum, the Dyson vacuums at the houses have to get cleaned, vacuum heads every single time. That's my system. Yep. I bought like 6 of them. So there's always a clean one going out to a house. Yep. The end. Yep. Solved.
The end. Yeah. But I mean, I think even with eBay, we're always, it's just an endless evolving of how our store works, and the things we sell and how we sell them and ship them. And, there's.
Yeah. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with how you find things, where you find things, how you see things selling. Like, it's an evolving market and evolving trends as well.
That's it. Evolving trends.
Yeah.
Like what people are interested in buying.
And it's weird how you see trends emerge with eBay, because you'll have like this small corner of your store. Perfect example is China and pottery and stuff that I was like, ugh, I don't want to buy it, don't want to store it, don't want to ship it. But then those things start selling, and I'm like, well, now I'm seeing them places. I'm looking at those shelves at the thrift store. I'm looking at those things at the auction, and it's just weird how that works. You kind of like, at first you were buying like pirate slouch boots in like 2010, and I could not keep them in my storage for a week. And now it's like, good luck selling those. Good luck finding them, and good luck selling them. Yeah. So yeah, it's you just kind of like move where it. And then
I feel like once we get really good at finding and identifying an item, it goes out of style.
I mean, not necessarily, but like. Yeah, it's just, or your interest wanes in it as well, where you're like, I'm not, like, okay, so here's another example. And you can still buy and sell these, but not for the prices I was getting before. It's like Revereware, like vintage copper bottom Revereware. I'm telling you, like 10 years ago, it's still great stuff. Super collectible. Also vintage Farberware, just like stainless steel, because cookware.
It's good quality.
And actually, we cook with Farberware because it just lasts it literally lasts for generations. But like, it just sells. The market's so saturated, like it just sells for not like $20 a pot. Yeah, I'm just like, like if I see them, if they're in really good shape, sure, but. Not really going to get those. But I just remember in the beginning, man, I could sell those for so much money, especially if you polish the copper. Yep. Now I'm just like,
I think that's why, I always say I'm always very wary of a niche.
Right.
Like
right.
going all in on one niche.
Yeah.
And like when people, talk openly about their store, they're like, should I just sell this one thing because I know it, it sells well.
Right.
I just always get nervous about that because what happens if people stop buying that thing?
Right. Right. Or the price drops out of that thing.
Yeah.
Look, it's like when you read books about investing in mutual funds or the stock market, it's diversify, right? They're like, don't just buy stock in Google, which actually you should buy stock in Google, and you should have, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
I guess, yeah. Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you're not just going to do this one thing. You're like, let me buy all this stuff and see what goes up and down, So it's kind of similar, right?
So specifically eBay this week, a couple things. So our new helper,
yes,
she came again. So is she just coming every week, like once a week?
So school just started. School starts this week. She's in high school.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out what her schedule is. Like she was free forever, but then we were super busy with the coffee business and we were traveling. So it was like, I'm trying to settle down if I can get her for like 2 days a week, like one day after school and a Saturday.
And it's like 3 or 4 hours at a time.
Yeah, 3 to 4 hours. Like for me, I also have to figure out like what I can keep up with my other responsibilities, including roasting coffee twice a week. So, I once a week right now is like, I'm like, that's literally, I'm sure you can work more, but that's all I can handle to keep up with. So for now I'm keeping it at 4 hours. And she seems like she's flexible. So I'm working out a schedule with her.
Cool. And then the other thing is, so we do our numbers every month.
Yeah.
Where instead of, we've done what probably lots of eBay sellers have done in the early days was we put off doing any kind of a numbers or accounting until the very end, bookkeeping, and then tax time comes, and then you're like having to do a year of taxes.
It's horrible. Oh my god!
So then we learned, okay, if we just do our numbers every month,
then it's done at the end of the year.
Then when tax time is done, it's just another month, and you kind of add it all up, and it's a lot easier. So we were using GoDaddy bookkeeping, then
Wave.
Right. And GoDaddy bookkeeping, that company, they just kind of stopped supporting it, in our opinion. So then we moved to Wave.
Which is also free.
Another free.
But, so this happened a couple times. So Wave, number one, stopped supporting PayPal, syncing PayPal. We stopped using PayPal so much, so that wasn't a big deal. But I still do some transactions through PayPal. And then our main bank account, again, will not sync with Wave.
Right.
I can't fix it. And so I was like, now I think I'm going to reach out to a couple different scavengers about this, but I got an email about doing QuickBooks self-employed. So it's cheaper, basically. It's like the introductory rate is like $7 a month. So I was like, I just have to bite the bullet and turn this on.
And then it goes to
I think it's $15 a month,
which is like
still,
it's a price of doing business.
But so my question is this: I feel a little bit ignorant where I'm like, I need to make specific categories for like our rentals and stuff, like landscaping and rental utilities and stuff like that. But like, I cannot figure that out. And I don't know if it's because self-employment is more limited than like they're just like base level. It's called like QuickBooks Online for like whoever. So I'm like, now, I feel limited again.
I will say, if we just need to get the full service and it's $30 a month,
get it.
To me, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, like this is just where it's just worth.
It's like
getting it done.
It's a business expense. So I anyone who uses QuickBooks Self-Employed, if you know how to do a category, or the other thing too is I noticed that Self-Employed can't hook up PayPal either.
Get off of Self-Employed. I mean,
okay, so
I think that's the answer right there. Yeah. So it just pull the trigger
and just get regular.
Buy the real one, and we can also talk to our coffee partner because
Phil uses QuickBooks.
We do QuickBooks for our coffee business, and so he does categories.
Yeah,
so
I have to.
He can tell you.
So he was out of town this whole weekend,
Yeah.
so I have to. This week, I'll be like, show me how to do this.
But does everything connect? Everything hook up?
Yeah, that's the great thing about QuickBooks. Like every bank is basically like, oh, do you want this to sync up to QuickBooks? Like,
Right.
it's so easy. Yeah. So I mean, everything. Actually, so it's August right now. The great thing is, all of my bank accounts, like, even though sometimes they're like, oh, it's 90 days worth of data. No, it imported the whole year since the January 1st. Cool. So thank God.
Yep.
So I am getting that data in there. But
cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain where you're like, oh, I wanted bookkeeping to be easy, like basically a free spreadsheet online. No, it just does not exist. Like, it's just such a pain. Yeah. Unless I just did a spreadsheet. Which is possible, but
I know that some people, I know some scavengers do that. There is a spreadsheet that you can buy. I forgot the name of it, but there's like a spreadsheet specifically for people that sell on eBay. Right. And it's like $20.
And you can do all your cogs.
Get like a custom, but
the problem is
PC based.
Right, so there's that. But, like, the problem is we do eBay and Airbnb, and we have a video production. So you're like, I have to pull in all these expenses for different categories. Yeah, so anyway, QuickBooks, I'm working on it. Yeah. It's, like, long overdue. I should have just started with QuickBooks, Yeah. But, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Moving on. This is so boring.
Is it boring? I'm interested.
QuickBooks.
I'm interested. I mean, look, this is the non-glamorous stuff, but this is the stuff if you don't figure out, like.
Yes, no, I agree. If you don't
build a strong foundation,
if you what the hell, if you don't figure it out, it's so time consuming. Like I said, if I was to do my own spreadsheet, I would like hate my life.
Yeah.
I already hate bookkeeping. I think it's so tedious. But if you have a system like QuickBooks where you're like, every time this one comes in, put it here, it should go a lot faster, Like there isn't like unknown things.
Yep. Okay, cool. So let's talk about our numbers this week for eBay. We sold 28 items. And our gross sales were $1,400 and $44.
Thank God.
Our net sales after fees was $1,042. I think that is the first time we made over $1,000 in the past maybe 6 weeks or something. I would have to go back and look.
The last few months have been horrendous on eBay.
Is it a coincidence, Ryan, that sales started picking up once we started to list?
I have no idea.
Is it a coincidence?
Well, half the people listening to this are going to say, no, it's not a coincidence, you dumb. But
also it's just such random stuff. I mean, we're not selling everything we're putting up new. It's all just the old stuff. I will say, I don't believe in all the conspiracy theories, all that stuff, but I will co-sign this. If we need to believe that putting things online,
then that will help us get things listed.
So it's a good wives' tale to believe in.
Yeah.
So it's good.
No, I mean, I'm glad I got through the backlog. I'm glad we have a new helper. She did accidentally put like 15 things live.
We had several scavengers like text us or
message us.
They were like,
why is this Sony remote $1,000? I gotta look for these. You're like, yo, obviously it's not $1,000. It's that my new helper was like, list, but didn't schedule it.
And that's smart that when you do a schedule to put the price really high in case it accidentally does go, because if not,
if you say $1, someone's like, great, $1.
Right.
So I say $1,000 just for that reason. And it's easy for me to be like, oh, did she accidentally show me everything that's $1,000? Oh yeah, I gotta. So I actually ended those. There was about 15 of them. And then the next day I went in and just like listed them live. So it's her second day. So I'm pretty sure she'll learn. I'll show her this week. But I thought that was kind of hilarious. I was like, oh yeah, all this stuff has really small titles, and she's actually, so I have been teaching her titles from the beginning, which saves me so much time. I mean, I do modify her titles because I have my own style, but God, it's so helpful.
And then since we got back from our vacation, that I'll never forget, right?
Oh my God.
The best time of my life.
Oh, Jesus.
We've been trying to do a thing where I've been trying to kind of protect your time.
Yes.
From the coffee business.
Right.
Where you do roast 2 days a week.
Yeah, like I have my scheduled like slot of time.
But then, like any business, it can just be plugging holes, all these things got to get done. So I've been handling that, going, helping people, getting things.
Yeah.
And like this morning, I got up really early and, did stuff on a Sunday.
Right.
But I'm trying to protect your time so you can do eBay if you want.
Well, and that's part of it, right? Like when you're having to list on eBay, you're like, I need to be focused and I need to sit here for a couple hours. Like I cannot just
more than a couple hours.
Yeah, like you need a day to not be like, oh, I got to run out and get this thing. Oh, I got to go fix this thing.
I mean, people will, I bet, can understand this. Like, I don't do that part of eBay.
Right.
But I've seen you do it. And if we have something to do, I just feel like you can't relax enough to get into it.
Yeah, because you just have to sit here.
So I like to try and give you, like, this is, don't have
don't
anything
leave.
else to do. There's nothing to do in the afternoon.
Yep.
Just do it when you want to. And then I see you kind of like you kind of are moving around it, and then I just see it. You do it, and then you're just in it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, Ryan, let's stop listing. Stop listing, Ryan. Go on.
Right.
So.
It does. It takes. It's like that, honestly, with video production too, where you have to give yourself enough like buffer time in the beginning and the end to just like get into it, because you have to tackle this thing and you just cannot have any distractions, or else you'll just be like, I don't want to have to do this thing, so I'm gonna go buy supplies at Walmart, and it's just like, no, you have to just be like, this is what you're doing today, and you can take a break and you can do some laundry in between for Airbnb.
And once you're kind of in a flow,
when you're in the flow, I mean, you're like, oh, that was a good listing, let's get another one.
It's kind of fun because
it is
you're
fun.
Like researching stuff. And...
So also, I mean, part of why we like to have a variety of stuff is because we don't want to get bored. I mean, we say that every single week, but it's true. I'm like, ooh, what's this weird remote from the 80s? I was listing like TV and video remotes. But, some of those things are worth money because you're like, nobody else has this one. And some person has like a CD player from the late 80s that's like got 100 CDs in it, and you only have one remote and I'm the only one that has it. Like stuff like that. And you're like, cool. So I mean, you have to get into a flow and you have to be interested, or else you're just going to be like, oh, this is so boring, Yeah.
But it's good. So that's kind of what we're trying to get to, again, is trying to protect people's time.
Yeah.
And
there's
we
things...
split the kinds of work. Like, I kind of like helping in the coffee business, maybe a little more than you on some of this stuff, and that's fine. And so I don't like to do stuff on eBay like this.
Right, exactly.
So we're both finding the things we kind of want to be doing.
Well, that's true with, like, roasting. Like, I'll make sure I get down to the roaster early. But on those days, because you're bagging and helping fill orders and I'm like roasting and you have to wait for that coffee, it's like, you don't have to get there till the afternoon. So you can,
love it.
Yeah. So like on those days, I'm kind of like, actually don't come here because like there's nothing for you to do except like stamp bags or like put labels on bags, which is needed, but you don't have to do it every time. So yeah, it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to go do this. Or was it yesterday? I forget what day it was, but I'm like, what day is what? No, it was the day before. I ran down to one of the rentals and did a bunch of stuff, and like our cleaner didn't have a helper that day, so I like stripped all the beds and got all the trash, and it's like, I was like, don't even think twice about it. Like, I'm gonna run down there and get all that stuff and like make sure all the TVs are hooked up to Netflix, and
We're a good team.
I think so. I think it's one of those things where like you have to be willing to do the thing that the other partner doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Like we had some stuff we had to do in town, like at the bank, and you were just like freaking out. You were just like, worrying unnecessarily about it. And I was like, dude, I will go to the bank. Do not even think twice about it. I will sit there. I will fill out the paperwork. I will do whatever needs to get done.
So that was such a...
I don't even want to hear about it anymore.
That was such a good moment because, Ryan,
it's so funny.
You recognized
yes.
I was having issues and trouble, and I'll walked in and be like, I'll handle it.
Yeah.
And don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was like, good.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it.
And it was great. And I think I do the same thing.
Yes, you do all the time.
I'm just like, don't worry about it.
Don't even think, like, I will take care of it. Yeah.
It will be okay.
Well,
and
I think it's one of those things where you really do have to recognize, because at first it was just like paperwork that we had to fill out, right?
I hate that.
Right. And so, like, sometimes when you're, like, opening a new savings account or trying to get an ATM card for this one account or whatever, it's such a pain in the butt sometimes because they're like, we need signatures on, like, 17 different pieces of paper and, like, whatever. And so what I realized was, the thing that we're actually doing at the bank doesn't require us both to be there. So once I realized that, I was like, I'll just go to the bank.
Yeah.
Like,
good. Just
stay home, or actually you were running around town doing other things. Just do those things. You're literally, what was funny too was like, you were doing errands in town and doing other stuff, and you probably drove past the bank to do those things. And I was like, that's fine. I'm going to go to the bank and then I'm going to come home. And that's my duty for the day.
And I guess that the key is when there's something that I don't like to do.
Yeah.
And you don't like to do it.
Who does it?
Neither of us like it.
Yeah.
And if we can afford to not do it. I mean, I think that's the other thing. Like when we talk about responsibility, often that means like we don't really have a choice. Like we have to do this thing because
no one else can do it.
We have to make money and pay the bills, and like that's just a responsibility of being an adult. But sometimes the freedom is like, we don't have to actually do this. We can, and so those things do happen, and that's when we have a conversation where we're just like, let's just cut this out of our life, and and not do it,
Yeah, I mean, like, a huge example of that, well, number one is eBay. So you're like, neither of us want to have the time to take photos. Right. I want someone else to do that. I don't mind buying stuff. I don't mind researching it and, like, doing a title and figuring it out, and then figuring out how to store it and then ship it. Like, those parts are absolutely not stressful to me. Or time-consuming. The most time-consuming thing, I think, is taking photos and measuring. Like, that, to me, is a grind. So we made it so that we could afford to do it.
And so that's a perfect example. And we have made it to where we can afford to not take pictures.
Right.
As long as we can find a person to do it.
And for a while, we couldn't. But I had enough of a backlog, it didn't matter. But cleaning houses, same thing. Like... we can afford to pay someone to do it, and she makes a good living because she works at all of our houses. And that's, we decided that takes a huge amount of time to do, and now we have the freedom not to do it. So another good example.
So this week, customer issues, just one thing. We had somebody give us a low offer on like a teapot.
Yeah.
And
a low offer, it was $100.
Right, but you had it up for $400.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's low or high, but it was low compared to what we have it up for.
Right.
And we took it, and I knew in my gut, I was like, she's going to want to return it. And so
she is.
She did. So.
And honestly, it was just because she didn't like it.
Right.
I mean, she was just like, I don't like it.
It's going to be interesting to see, because those are tough to pack safely. It's always interesting to see when people do returns on delicate items? Like, do they just throw it in a box?
Most people use the stuff that I packed it in. Although I have had things damaged coming back to me before. And, what do you do? Yeah. You can claim insurance, I guess. But, it's just, it sucks to give someone $100 back. It's just like, that's coming back in the mail this week. Yep. We had such low, sales in the last, like we said, 2 months. And you're like, I don't want to give someone $100 back. But, she didn't like it. And that's the policy, right?
Okay, let's go to the calls or voicemails that people sent in.
Okay. You can send us an audio file, which somebody did. You can email it to us. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com. And you can also call our voicemail line to leave a message. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. Thanks so much for your podcast. I know you probably put a lot of work into it, and we all appreciate it. Just wanted you to know. And I'm calling about your last call-in about getting the post office to make good on the insurance when an item's broken. I just went through the same situation. And, of course, when you're selling things on eBay, you really don't want to ask your customer to go to the trouble of sending the broken item back to you, or much less like asking them to go to the post office and dropping the crushed box if it's crushed and the broken item and filling out all those forms. And I guess, if the item's really expensive, you would go through that. But I had a similar situation. The item wasn't worth that much, so I wasn't going to put the buyer through that. And I did get a payout finally, but it was a lot of hoops I had to jump through. So my impression is that your claim is going to get denied right off the bat. And if you really want the refund, unfortunately, people are going to have to keep appealing it and just, I wouldn't say make a pest of yourself, but make it clear that you're going to follow through with the claim. So I'm an intellectual property attorney, and I guess the lawyer in me came out. So, I had insurance on the item, and I filed the claim. And I had everything except the box. I actually went into my post office, and the postmaster came out, and I explained everything to him. I had photos of the item, and I explained that I sell things on eBay, and, I couldn't ask a customer to go to the trouble of sending all that stuff back to me, or much less going to their own post office with all the items and filling out the forms. So he gave me a receipt. It didn't say much information on the receipt, but anyway, I had that and all the information from eBay about the cost of the item, et cetera, and the photographs. And it got denied. And I think it was maybe the third or fourth time. And like I said, somebody else might have just thrown the towel in because, we're talking about not that much financially, but like I said, I think the lawyer in me came out, and I finally was able to get a refund. So I might think about making some sort of template for other people to use to save them time. I'll think about that, because it's just the principle of the matter. If you pay for insurance, they shouldn't make you jump through so many hoops. And I understand they don't want to get cheated either, but still. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. And again, thanks so much. I know you guys are busy, and your podcast is very appreciated. So thanks again. Bye-bye.
So that's interesting that you said you brought all the information to them and they gave you a receipt and they denied it. And I'm the same way. Like I'm not a lawyer, but I will go through any avenue that's available to me to appeal. Because just like you said, well, I paid for insurance and it broke. It's not like the post office is like, oh, you're putting claims in every day of every item you sell. You're like, this broke. So I do the same thing. Like I will appeal. I'm still waiting. It can take several weeks to get a check, but my postmaster called me and was like, I filed this for you, so you should be getting a check. Hopefully I'm not going to get denied. But I think that's good advice for anything. I mean, I become one of those people who is just like, how can I fix this? What can I do? Like, I feel like I'm in the right here as like paying for this service.
Well, I mean, kind of like we talked about how I was stressing out about doing all that bank stuff.
Right.
Because I do not like that. I don't like being told something can't happen when I'm like logically it should be able to. I don't like having, but there's just a lot of bureaucracy. It's like
I'm so good at that.
I think that's why you're in our Eddie relationship really good about that. You're
I
good
don't
about,
know why.
You're just good about like what's the next step.
But what's funny is you're good at that in other aspects. You know, like with like getting a renovation done. I like stress over that stuff. But when it comes to like, I'm looking at this piece of paper from the bank. It's literally sitting right next to me. I'm like, I'll fill in all the forms. Right. I'll go through all the processes. I will talk to whoever I need to get this done. I will check all the boxes.
Well, I think it's the difference between bureaucracy, where it's like some weird Byzantine system that frustrates me because it doesn't make sense. First, like, I don't mind talking to like a tradesman or like a contractor where there's a problem
and there's a solution,
and we just have to think of creative, like maybe we don't know the answer, but I'm happy to like enter into a creative process to try and find the answer, because we're all trying to find the answer. It's that like weird, like the post office or a bank or like pulling a permit or something. Someone will tell it, and they don't even know why, and you're like, I don't,
See, it's so funny because like so what you described, like coming up with creative solutions from a craftsman, that stresses me out. I'm just like, but what if that's not correct? Right. You're like, well, that doesn't make sense. But for me, like there are like with bureaucracy, and it's not always true because I've come up against lots of bureaucracy where I'm like, they didn't tell me I had to do that XYZ, but now they're telling me I have to. And there's this other piece of paper I have to fill out that they never gave me in the beginning because I talked to 3 different people that didn't know what they were talking about. But honestly, I'm like, for me, that's like so much more doable because I'm like, I just push through. I'm just like, well, who should I talk to? What should I do? What should I fill out? Okay, I'm going to call you every single... Man, there was one time where there was some client we had that didn't pay us. And I was like, I'm going to call you every single day for the next 6 months until you pay me. And I did. I was like, I'm going to call every single day.
In a very nice way.
Yeah, no, like I'm just going to be like, am I going to get paid? Right. Why hasn't this been submitted? They're on vacation? Who else can I talk to? Right. And they paid us. It took them 8 months. I don't think I called them for 8 months, but I was pretty persistent.
Right. Right, because sometimes people just want you go away. Like that's
that's what she's saying, right? She's like, I got denied 4 or 5 times, and then someone eventually was like, just pay her.
That's a lot of what bureaucracy is just trying to slow the process down, and most people dump out pretty quick.
Yeah, because it's annoying.
They're just like, I'll just eat it, and
Hey, Jane, Ryan, thought I'd tell you about a sale I had recently on eBay. I sold a brand new MacBook. It was in a sealed package, unopened, for $950 on eBay. And sometime later, the buyer contacted me and said I sent them an empty box and they wanted a refund. And they had opened a case, and there was a little bit of back and forth, but I told them they could return it in an unopened, brand new condition, because initially I didn't read the verbiage that they put in there. But eBay closed the case in the buyer's favor and said they were going to take the money out of my bank account. So I contacted SAR Help and told them, I've been selling on eBay since 2006 and I have over 97% positive feedback. The buyer opened their account 5 days before they bought this MacBook from me. I said the guy's a scammer. And they said they would open up an appeal for me and get back to me a day or two. Today I looked at eBay actually sided with me and they refunded my money. But it makes me wonder how long eBay will go on eating these losses. I know they implemented the situation with expensive watches that were like $10,000 a piece, where they have them sent to an appraiser to make sure they're real. But it would seem to me, I'm sure eBay has insurance for this type of stuff, but even then, that's got to get expensive after a while. It would seem like, I don't know, at some point, they couldn't just continue to eat thousands of dollars of losses because of scammers. Talk to you later.
So another example of having to appeal a decision by bureaucracy.
But I think he brings up a really good point. I mean, that's why I have a lot of faith in eBay from our own experience, because eBay has done that to us a number of times over the past decade where, you know, we have a problematic buyer who complains about something that is just kind of like not appropriate, and eBay will just come in and give the buyer their money back, but then they let us keep the money and they just say, we're going to do a one-time fix so everyone's happy. And that's great. I mean, ultimately for us, I'm assuming eBay, just has some kind of insurance, and they do the numbers, or they have like a bit of a slush fund where they're like, 3% of our profits we'll just eat just to kind of keep things flowing correctly.
They must have insurance.
I don't, they're not doing it out of goodwill. They just know, like, if they make everyone unhappy, then people will just start to move away from eBay because it's not a good place to be.
Well, it reminds me of global shipping. When someone's like, this broke, or, it's an empty box, or the box was damaged, or only part, or I got the wrong item from the global shipping warehouse or something. I mean, eBay, they, if you say global shipping, they should just take care of it, because they have like international insurance. But for this situation, it's interesting. You sold a brand new MacBook that was in a sealed package. Yeah, and of course, like, scammers love technology, like iPhones, MacBooks.
Well, we find that those are the categories that attract the scammers,
right?
Because I don't know if it's because it's like, teenage boys with no morals or
just
what. But I will say, when we first started, and there weren't a lot of places to hear about people talking about online selling. Yeah. I would go to the eBay forums, and it's full of people, like I've always said, who just seemed now are just super negative. I mean, if I believed everything they talked about on there, I would have just assumed that our life on eBay was going to be dealing with scammers every single week, with empty boxes being sent back, and people lying. I will tell you, I don't know if we've ever had that where somebody, like, I hear about it. So, this caller talked about it. So obviously it does happen. But, I mean, it could happen all the time. Because, I mean, someone could get an item and say it was empty. And
who how are you going to know?
Who is to prove? I mean, but thankfully, it just is not a common thing, or at least in the kind of stuff that the two of us sell.
Or they'll send it back, and they'll send back an empty box. Like, I've heard that, where the one thing I remember is, like, I sold some sneakers, and the lady sent back a different pair of sneakers, exact same brand, exact same model, different color. Right. And I was like, you sent back the wrong shoes, but I'm going to give you a refund because now I have a different pair of shoes to sell.
I mean, I will say I have heard some people in our community talk about, like, they'll sell a spare part. Yes. And the person will return the spare part saying it's not the right one. And then they get it back and it's the same spare part, but it's used. And so, the person just change it out.
They were like, this other one's broken.
I don't know. But again, we've sold spare parts too, and that's never happened to us. So I'm not saying these things don't happen, but thankfully, it doesn't seem like it happens as much as some of the more negative people imagine it.
Yeah, but it does suck when it happens, clearly. Okay, that's it for calls. Thanks for listening. Let's talk about coffee for a second.
Yeah, if you would like to support us, you can go to broadporchcoffee.com
to order coffee. I'm roasting tomorrow morning.
Yep. We may even be adding a third day of roasting, especially since the holiday season started.
My gosh.
But yeah, we got 10 different kinds of coffees.
Look, I was going to say, if you like light roast, we do have an Ethiopian, but if you want a different light roast than Ethiopian, which is delicious, I was going to say our Costa Rican is really good. I suggest you have a light roast with no cream or sugar. If you want something with cream or sugar, which I do, I drink cream and sugar. And I don't put sugar in, but I put cream in my coffee. So I need like a chocolatey coffee tasting thing. Cameroon, I think, so for single origin, meaning we don't blend it with anything else, I think Cameroon is, we mentioned it last week, but I brought some home yesterday and I was like, this is so good. I love the Cameroon. But if you want to blend, I love Southern Split. If you want a dark blend, Mr. Motivator. That's our espresso blend.
Where it's like pretty roasty.
It's not, Sumatran is pretty roasty. That's our darkest. But Mr. Motivator's not too dark, but it is one of our darkest blends, and we use it for espresso. So, sorry, I'm the roaster. I'm gonna get real. I'm like, I've got like drop temperatures in my head. Yeah. I'm like, well, but
and we were this past week. One of the big things was we weren't getting enough heat from our roaster.
Yes.
And again, this is a roaster about the size of a small car,
like a Fiat.
Yeah. And we just bought it off of eBay.
Of course we did.
Me and my redneck friend, we installed it, and so it's a learning process. Yes. But we couldn't get enough heat from it.
We just needed we need to like raise the flame.
So me and our redneck friend, we went and we
adjusted the flame.
Adjusting it. Like basically there's like a thing underneath, and we it's got a lot of heat now.
Yeah,
there's a lot of heat coming out.
And not too much. But yeah, we adjusted it, and it was actually Phil and I readjusted it too right after that. We were like, let's tweak it a little bit. So this is last Sunday. I'm under the roaster while the flame is on with a little Allen wrench. Right. Like, how's it look now? How's it look now?
Yeah, more and more flame. But it's
I
good.
felt like an airplane mechanic.
Yeah.
But it's great. Yeah. So we are getting a lot more control over the flame now, which is good. I don't know why.
And I'm glad that you understand how to do all that stuff.
I try. I feel like I understand it. But yeah, so I've been having fun. Last week on Thursday, we roasted the most we've ever roasted on a single day. It was 250 pounds. So... Yep, get your orders in because Monday's the day.
And I will say that our cafe on our little Main Street, USA.
Yep,
we're business owners on Main Street, USA.
To wrap it up. Yep, he loves saying that. Sheesh.
Is going so good. Yeah. And I will say it is. I mean, like everyone warned us, having a brick and mortar business is a lot of work. It is so different than having like an online store.
Yes.
But if you do it right, it can be so satisfying.
Yeah.
We're about to wrap this up so we can go down there and help them close up for the day.
Yep. I'm going to pack some coffee for the shelf, restock the shelf.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, this is like a whole other conversation, a whole other podcast. But I will say, that's why you're protecting my time because there's always, it's like any business, but a brick and mortar business, there's always little tweaks that have to happen.
I'm trying to protect your time because once we go into town and go into that shop, there's just like
infinite
lots
things
of stuff
that can be done.
And not that you don't enjoy doing them, it's just that I'm trying to keep you from that so you can have entire days to do anything else you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a good thing.
Yeah, but so BroadPorchCoffee.com, order some coffee. It's so fresh. It's the freshest coffee you'll get.
We do have subscriptions. So if you drink coffee like we do, you can just sign up and get it sent to your home every month.
Yep.
And we can either send you the same kind of coffee or we can surprise you or only send you a light roast.
My dad has a subscription and I forgot to tell you this, he texted me yesterday morning at like 7 a.m. I'm like in bed. He's like, I didn't get my package yet. Are you sure you got this subscription, but did it get lost or did you guys forget? I was like, dude, I sent it on Thursday. Like, you're going to get it Monday. It was really funny. I was like, here's the tracking.
So does he only have a 12 ounce every
No,
month?
it's a 2 pound every
2
month.
pound,
Yeah.
okay.
So, and then he actually ordered some like off his subscription too. So they drink a lot of coffee
I'm trying to think if 2 pounds would be enough for us.
for
I
a
don't know.
month. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, get 2 subscriptions.
Yeah. Get 4 pounds. Okay, this podcast is ending. In
3, 2, 1, bye.